Hi, I'm Rachel, an artist living in the northwest of England. I enjoy painting, drawing, sculpture and exploring the outdoors. Join me in my studio and out and about as we create new pieces, talk about art, and as I try and make a living out of being an artist.
I think what I'm planning on doing. Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm an artist, still live in the northwest of England, and this is my first video. And it's something I've been wanting to do for ages, but I've been nervous and didn't think anyone would be too interested, but I thought I'd give it a go anyway, because it's something people tell you to do as an artist, is to talk about yourself and show people what you're doing, and it makes sense. So I thought I'd do it. So I'm Rachel Harvey. I have been drawing and painting and whatnot since I was tiny. I did GCSE art, and I had an amazing GCSE art teacher who actually has a YouTube channel of his own. I'll look that up and I'll put the link to his channel in the description. Anyway, Mr. Taylor, he's called. Incredible teacher. And following that, I went on to Blackpool Sixth Form College, where I did an A-level in fine art, which was again incredible tutors, amazing experience. And then I went on to Lancaster University, where I did fine art degree, and that included practical work, obviously studio work, and art history, and a bit of curatorship as well, which was wonderful. For now, I'll show you a little bit around my tiny box room of a studio that I have, and then I'll show you a bit of what I'm working on at the moment. So my studio is a small box room. It's also my dog's bedroom. So here's Wilbur. He's a good boy. This is also his bedroom. He's an old man now, so he needs a big comfy bed and lots of space to spread out. I also have a full-time job and work from home, so it also doubles as the room I work from home in. This is what I call my art desk. This is my creative desk, and that's my job desk. That's my work desk. There's some knitted toys under there that my gran made me when I was little. So on here we've got some, I've just been sorting out my studio actually, so these are sort of some old projects, some old test pieces, a bit of watercolour florals on handmade paper. So that's Lake Windermere, for anyone not familiar. I've got these in all sorts of sizes, and these actually sell really well. These people really like these. If you're interested in them, I do have other copies on my website. They're all original, there's no prints, they don't print very well. These watercolours, so the originals are best. Pile of sort of test pieces, you know, sort of seeing how things look on different scales, trying out different colours, different techniques of watercolour. I don't use watercolour a whole lot, but I do quite enjoy it. One of my main subject matters is landscapes, so just testing out different ways of doing them with different materials really. I love this flower. I absolutely love the colours in it and how it turned out, but again, I don't know what to do with those. A couple more sort of little test pieces I did of watercolours on a different type of paper. I got an ink gel pad thing, so I made some little leaf prints last year just to teach myself different ways of using the ink pad. And again, something I really enjoy, but do not know what to use them for. There's a lot of that in here. There's a lot of testing, a lot of seeing how things go. I think they'd probably look quite nice just framed up next to each other on a wall. So on this side of the room, I've got all my materials. These are old sketchbooks, so filled up sketchbooks that have had different projects in them. There's a couple of degree sketchbooks in there as well, I think. Paints, different paints, oil paints, ceramic paints there, mediums, different enamel paints and an airbrush paints down there. So these are the sketchbooks that are currently in use with different projects that I've got going on. I try and keep a sketchbook for each for a different thing. Drawing materials, paintbrushes, graphites, papers, bigger papers like canvas paper, things like that, watercolour paper. There's also some previous paintings down here which I can show you one day, and then books, a couple of art history books, and then just other books there as well. Over here is what I'm working on at the moment. I'm putting together a little video of that being made with my old phone. This is oil paint. I don't use oil paint very often. This is so, well, I'll show you. So this is the first thing I've done since my degree in oil paint. So my degree was, I graduated, what, 13 years ago? And I used a bit of oil paint then, but not a lot. So this is the first thing I've done in oil paint since then. I did this last year. It's St Paul's Cathedral in London. Not something I'd usually do. I just wanted to mess around with the colours and textures and see what I could do with the oil paint while with it being a slower drying medium. And then I went straight in there and started this. So I've been working on this since Christmas, and it's now nearly June. It's the end of May. But there was a bit of so I have been a bit ill. I've recently had an operation, so I took a step back from it for a while. But also with it being oil paint, it takes a long time to dry. And I've done a little sort of compilation of it over time, so I'll be able to show you it. But basically, I've not been happy with it, and I've been playing with the light on it quite a lot. And I'm getting to a point where I'm happy with it now. So not as a finished piece, but I mean how it's progressing. So hopefully that'll really start to take shape soon. I find with paintings, especially big ones like this, there's a long time where you're not happy with them and they're not going how you want them to go, and then all of a sudden they start to work. And I think just getting to that point now where it's starting to work. But at first I used a lot of blending. So with the sky, you can see the sky's all very blended, and I like that. I'm happy with that. But then I couldn't quite get the mountain areas to have the edge that I wanted them to. So I went over it all with palette knives, really, just to give it some real texture. And then now I'm going back into it with palette knives and brushes to sort of soften it a bit, to give some of that sort of nice blending that I want in there, but also just to add in the highlights. And then I'm using the palette knives to create the sort of some sharp lines and some of the effects with the rocks, which you just can't quite get with a brush. So yeah, I don't know how long it's going to take. A while. So I don't like to work on too many things at once, else I find things don't get finished. So I'm trying to work on this oil painting and get that finished before starting anything else. Occasionally I'll go and do like a little sketch or something. I'll go out walking and take my sketchbook with me and do some little drawings there, but I'm not starting anything else until this is finished. If there's anything you'd like to hear about in terms of how to get going with art, how to get started, any questions really, I'm more than happy to answer them. So, leave me a little message or a comment or whatever. Okay, so for this painting, I've tried to I'm not using realistic colours. I'm trying to use sort of really exaggerated tones of like dark purples, and then it's ochre, and then going into whites as well, and then obviously oranges in the skies. So for anyone not familiar with this particular scene, this is Blencathra in the Lake District. I'm using inspiration from a series of photos my friend took while he was out in the lakes. At the moment I'm really working on the light areas, which I'm trying to use ochre and white for. So my palette at the moment is mostly a mixture of that. A bit of the brown, because I did do a bit of work on the rocks yesterday. Just hopefully you can see there with the effect here. That's all created by palette knives. I think if you try and paint rocks, they don't look real, especially rocks in the snow, because rocks in the snow don't, as you can see like here, rocks in the snow don't they don't work like normal. They don't look like normal rocks, if you know what I mean. They're very black against the snow, and they just peek out. So I think using the palette knife there has really helped get that effect. So while I've been painting this painting, obviously it's oil paints, and you need a bit of oil paints, and also stuff to keep your brushes nice and clean. But while I've been doing the big sort of base layers and building it up, I've been using some refined linseed oil. So when you're using oil paint, if you put a big base layer of oil paint down, fine. But then when you're building and adding layers onto it, you need to sort of supplement it with a bit of additional oil to make sure that it's not drying and cracking over the top of other areas. So towards the top layer, so the areas I think are getting towards finished, I'm using some speed drying oil on there. You just mix a little bit of that in with your paint, and it just it speeds up the drying areas, especially on the more detailed parts that you're working on. So these areas here are quite, I'm probably happy with them. I don't want to blend them anymore. I'm happy for them to dry like that, and then if I am going to add any more, I'm not going to blend it in, I'm just going to add on top of it. Whereas the sky, I wanted to blend that, so that needed a lot of linseed oil in with it. Now I'm painting this area at the moment down here, which is, I need a bit of shade on it, and I'm using the ochre for the shade on the whiter side, the brighter side of this mountain. But what I've done is I've already layered some quite thick white paint on there, and I'm just going over with the ochre very, very lightly to blend it into the existing white paint. So rather than mixing a colour on a palette and getting the shade afterwards, I'm using the wet paint to blend the new colour, the ochre, into. Something I find when I'm painting is my favourite paintbrush changes with each painting I'm doing. So at the moment I'm really drawing this, it's like flat but pointed, and it's quite thin. But at the moment this is my favourite paintbrush for this painting. And it doesn't necessarily make sense for the job, but it's doing what I need it to do. And I think for people when they start doing things like painting and drawing, they're worried about using the wrong things, and being sort of called out on it. But like, it doesn't matter. If you found a tool you enjoy using, then use it. Like for this, for some areas of it, I am using smaller brushes in some areas, you know, much smaller. But you just use what works for you. Of ochre here, which looks really dark in this camera. I'm using one source of ochre here and I'm thinning it out. I've put a bit of oil here and I'm just using that to thin it out there a bit, and then just going into the painting and just layering lightly and blending lightly as I'm going. And then if I get a bit of a colour I don't want on it, then I can just go and wipe it off elsewhere on the palette and come back to it. And I can add can quite happily sort of add a bit of a lighter colour to it, thin it out a little bit, and then come back into the painting and use it. And I don't need to wash that off my brush. I can kind of just like thin it out a bit and go back to the colour without having to wash, which with oil paints, with acrylic paints, you can't really do that the same. I mean, that's not to say, I love acrylic paints, I use them a lot, and I'll show you a project next time that I've had sort of started, and I've put it on hold for a while because I can't really tell what to do with it next. But I use acrylic paints for that, because with oil paints I wouldn't be able to get the effect I wanted, so it's very much being aware of the effect you want. Obviously with watercolours it's a different story altogether. If you're using watercolours you probably want quite a loose look, you're not going for detail so much, you're going for a much more sort of loose feel to your paints. And they, well, dry pretty quickly, really. They dry as quick as water would dry on the paper, so. I wanted this here for now. I will be back. What I plan on doing is, for each video, I'll be working on this painting for a while. So rather than just show you this painting over and over again, I intend to try and answer some questions you guys might have, or cover a topic that might be helpful for people while painting, but also show you something else that I've got going on as well, or something else I have done that might be of interest. Or if I've been somewhere like a nice gallery or a good art shop or somewhere with a good view, I'll show you that and then get into this painting until it's done. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and subscribe please. Never said that before, but subscribe if you want to, and I'll be back soon with more.